between me and you.
Heyo! I hope you're having a good day today. So this is going to be the first of many of a new series that I'm going to start. The Every Heroic in the Game for Wrath of the Lich King. This is filmed on the Warmain Ice Crown server, and we're going to start off with the shortest ones and work my way down to the longest one. So I'm just going off of played time, how long the file actually is. It might vary depending on the person, that kind of thing. I'm going to save FOS, POS, and HOR for the last three that I do, just because I've already done a speedrun video about them, and they are the three hardest dungeons to do in the game, so I feel like it's a good work order. So we're going to start off with Azjol-Nerub, which is pretty much just about as easy as it gets when it comes to multiboxing. This place is fast, there's not a lot of room for error, there's no tricky bosses, there's no tricky positioning, anything like that. All the bosses are pretty much just tank and spank, and yeah, should be pretty much a cakewalk for you to do. So this would be a good one to start off on if you're unfamiliar with the multiboxing PvE. Try and make it as entertaining as possible while adding some useful commentary, not just telling you what spells I'm using. If you are curious about my keybinds or any of that stuff, let me know and I can expand upon that. The program that I'm using here is HotKeyNet. All it does is send your keyboard inputs, just your keyboard inputs is all I have set up to each window. And there's Iceboxer and other options that you could use, like the keyboard and mouse interaction. But the only thing that I use to film all of these is just HotKeyNet. So first boss, pretty much tank and spank. I'd recommend, if you don't have something set up already, set up your stop follow to make your guys stop following. There's no macro in WoW that you can make that makes your guys stop following. So the way that I did it is I made G move backwards in the interface keybinds that are built into WoW. So press escape, go to keybinds, and set that to G. And when I want my guys to stop, I press G for just a second and then move my tank into position, and I just play off my tank. So instant specific things here. This first boss, tank and spank, pretty easy. The second boss here is a little bit harder as far as multiboxing goes. When I first started multiboxing, I had nothing but boomies as far as the DPS, and then a paladin tank and a resto shaman. My second team was 3 shadow priests. Now I take 1 boomy, 1 shadow priest, and a warlock so that I get maximum buffs. Something else that's kind of nice is, and pretty cheap to get, is the drums of kings. I know it's only 8% king, but when you're just using chain heal spam to heal, it's kind of nice to have Sanctuary and Kings to make sure that your guys have maximum HP buff. And then with all my guys, I get Fortitude, HP, Shadow Protection is always nice, and the Priest, extra attributes from the Druid buff. And then all of the guys here benefit from spell power, including my tank. So having a demo lock in the group is pretty nice. Gives everybody a little bit of a buff. Clear this first couple waves of ads and then move them to the tunnel, as you see here. And make sure to keep you guys on follow this whole time. And then I stop follow here, but this boss, Hydronox, will pull all your guys in underneath him and put a debuff on the ground. So I heal through the debuff, like I'm just spamming chain heal over and over. You'll see when they get pulled together, they kind of face different directions. So the way I get around that is I press F to follow, just for a second, and then press G immediately as I move my tank away from my DPS and my healer, and that will make sure that they're all facing the right direction, because otherwise, they're not going to be able to cast because he's out of line of sight. And then this boss, you can kind of bug him out a little bit if you run down the tunnel, like further than he is, used to going, or further than he is supposed to go, I guess. And if you start attacking him when he's down here at the bottom of the tunnel, he will just like straight up attack the ads, and he won't actually ever attack you. So it's another reason why this is a nice instance for a beginner baby multiboxer, because you can kind of use that to your advantage a little bit if you were so inclined to take advantage of that error or that issue with his scripting or whatever you want to call it, that feature. When you get down here to the bottom of the lake and you guys are trying to jump, sometimes I notice that Hotkey Net does a really good job with jumping. Sometimes it does not jump very well. So I turn off my keybinds, which is just scroll lock by default in Hotkey Net, and then jump all my guys over that ledge individually. And there's other instances like Gundarak where you're going to have to go in the water a couple of times, or that will be a useful thing to remember. Most of the trash here, again, is not tricky. Pretty much just run up, make my guys stop follow, drop totems, which is G for stop follow, H I have separate totems because it's right next to the button, and then go around with the tank and try and aggro them up as much as I can. And nothing in here does a lot of damage, so it doesn't necessarily matter if you're even tanking it, to be quite frank. Like, my Boomy here is tanking for, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds, and he's fine, Easy. And then when you get down here to the boss, special note, make sure that your guys are inside the shield. Especially important if you are multiboxing, because it's kind of a bummer if one of your guys is outside. He's going to be wigging out the whole time. So I make sure I'm in at an angle and then walk all the way in, stop, follow, drop totems, bloodlust, all that good stuff. I think I had bloodlust on cooldown for this fight from my last instance, so I didn't even use bloodlust for here, at least not yet. And then when he burrows, make sure that you are following, and make you guys follow so you can wait for that ground pop-up. And then pretty much just follow, stop follow for a little bit, get your guys to position correctly once you know where the pound is, or where the impale, the spike, is coming up, and then blast the individual guys down. You might see my Shadow Priest is my slacker, my hardest to control guy, and that's because the macro that I made for my Shadow Priest is a little tricky. It has a command that's called no channeling, and if you're unfamiliar with that, it basically breaks follow. And the reason why I use that particular macro for Shadow Priest is so that I can literally on my keyboard just mash 1 or 2. That's dependent on my Boomy. So if he's got Lunar, I've got 1 set to Starfire, and 2 I'll mash when I get Solar, which is for Wrath. So pretty straightforward boss. The hardest thing is just make sure that your guys aren't, lingering behind and getting knocked up over and over. And that's another benefit of having a Resto Shaman as your healer for a multi-box team, because if you get the Chain Heal glyph that makes you heal 4 targets, which I would highly recommend, you can pretty much just heal your whole group with 2 chain heals, maybe 3 tops, It's pretty, I won't say foolproof, but it works quite well. Trying to not keep saying it, but this is the easiest one that I can think of. It's the fastest dungeon that I did when I was doing this filming, so that's why I picked this first. It's not a whole lot of crazy notes or crazy positioning thing, just dodge the impale and dot him up to make sure that he's taking damage when he's underground, and smash him when he's up. And yeah, you'll be able to knock this one out easy peasy. Another nice thing about having a Resto Shaman as your healer, Cleansing Totem. Oh man, it's sweet. So you never have to worry about cleansing or selecting a target. Just make Cleansing Totem your default totem, and it will take care of any of the debuffs that you get that can be cleansed. Pretty nice. Now, because I'm using Hotkey Net and not IS Boxer, I have to either leave the party, Hearthstone, or manually right-click the dungeon finder, the eyeball, and make sure that I teleport out of the dungeon. It's the most annoying part of my setup right now, but it's not that bad, really. If I wanted to do another dungeon, I have to re-invite everybody back into the group and do it all over again. But Anyway, this is part 1. I hope it helps some people out there and shows you how easy it can be. Iceboxer is something I'm just getting into right now, so I will have to make some adjustments and make some notes on that once I get a little bit more familiar. But as of right now, I'm still extreme noob when it comes to that program. So look forward to some future notes on that bad boy, and I hope that you enjoyed, and have a great day.